So here we have verbos más usados en español. The most used verbs in Spanish. So for example, the first one says abrir. Abrir is to open. Abrir. Next on the right, we have conocer. Conocer is to know or to meet. Conocer. Next is dejar. Dejar is to leave or to allow. Dejar. Next is acabar. Acabar is to finish or to end. Acabar. Next, conseguir. Conseguir is to get. Conseguir. Next, descubrir. Descubrir is to discover. Descubrir. And we move on to the third row where it says aceptar. Aceptar is to accept. Aceptar. Next is considerar. Considerar is to consider. Considerar. Next is dirigir. Dirigir is to direct. Dirigir. Next is alcanzar. Alcanzar is to reach. Alcanzar. Next is contar. Contar is to count. Contar. Next, empezar. Empezar is to start. Empezar. Next is aparecer. Aparecer is to appear. Aparecer. Next is correr. Correr is to run. Correr. Next is encontrar. Encontrar is to find. Encontrar. Next is ayudar. Ayudar is to help. Ayudar. Next is crear. Crear is to create. Crear. And lastly, entender. Entender is to understand. Entender. Here we have buscar. Buscar is to look for. Buscar. Next is creer. Creer is to believe. Creer. Next is entrar. Entrar is to enter. Entrar. Next is caer. Caer is to fall. Caer. Next is cumplir. Cumplir is to achieve. Cumplir. Next is escribir. Escribir is to write. Escribir. Next is cambiar. Cambiar is to change. Cambiar. Next is dar. Dar is to give. Dar. Next is escuchar. Escuchar is to listen. Escuchar. Next is comenzar. Comenzar is to begin. Comenzar. Next is deber. Deber is to owe. Deber. Next is esperar. Esperar is to wait. Esperar. Next is comprender. Comprender is to understand. Comprender. Next is decir. Decir is to say. Decir. Next is estar. Estar is to be. Estar. Here we have estudiar. Estudiar is to study. Estudiar. Next is jugar. Jugar is to play. Jugar. Next is necesitar. Necesitar is to need. Necesitar. Next is existir. Existir is to exist. Existir. Next is leer. Leer is to read. Leer. Next is ocurrir. Ocurrir is to occur or to happen. Next is explicar. Explicar is to explain. Explicar. Next is levantar. Levantar is to get up. Next is ofrecer. Ofrecer is to offer. Ofrecer. Next is formar. Formar is to form or to make. Next is llamar. Llamar is to call. Llamar. Next, oír. Oír is to hear. Oír. Next is ganar. Ganar is to win. Ganar. Next is llegar. Llegar is to arrive. Llegar. Next is pagar. Pagar is to pay. Pagar. Here we have haber. Haber is to have. Haber. Next is lograr. Lograr is to achieve. Lograr. Next is parecer. Parecer is to seem. Parecer. Next is hablar. Hablar is to talk or to speak. Hablar. Next is mantener. Mantener is to keep or to maintain. Mantener. Next is partir. Partir is to leave. Partir. Next is hacer. Hacer is to do. Hacer. Next is mirar. Mirar is to watch or to look at. Mirar. Next is pasar. Pasar is to happen or to pass. Next is intentar. Intentar is to try. Intentar. Next is morir. Morir is to die. Morir. Next is pedir. Pedir is to ask for. Pedir. Next is ir. Ir is to go. Ir. Next is nacer. Nacer is to be born. Nacer. Next is perder. Perder is to lose. Perder. Here we have permitir. Permitir is to allow or to permit. Permitir. Next is recordar. Recordar is to remember. Recordar. Next is terminar. Terminar is to finish. Terminar. Next is poder. Poder is to be able to. Poder. Next is resultar. Resultar is to turn out. Resultar. Next is tocar. Tocar is to touch or to play. Tocar. Next is poner. Poner is to put. Poner. Next is saber. Saber is to know. Saber. Next is tomar. Tomar is to take. Or it could also mean to drink. Next is preguntar. Preguntar is to ask. Preguntar. Next is sacar. Sacar is to take out. Sacar. Next is trabajar. Trabajar is to work. Trabajar. And the last row we have presentar. Presentar is to introduce or to present. Presentar. Next is salir. Salir is to go out. Salir. And last one, traer. Traer is to bring. Traer. Here we have producir. Producir is to produce. Producir. Next is seguir. Seguir is to follow. Seguir. Next is tratar. Tratar is to treat. Tratar. Next is quedar. Quedar is to stay. Quedar. Next is sentir. Sentir is to feel. Sentir. Next is utilizar. Utilizar is to use. Utilizar. Next is querer. Querer is to want or to love. Querer. Next is ser. Ser is to be. Ser. Next is venir. Venir is to come. Next is realizar. Realizar is to achieve. Realizar. Next is servir. Servir is to serve or to function. Next is ver. Ver is to see. Next is recibir. Recibir is to receive. Next is suponer. Suponer is to suppose. Suponer. And the last one, vivir. Vivir is to live. Vivir.